Okay, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Erev Shabbos Kodesh. For those taking score at home, we're Korach here. We're Shelach back in Chutz La'aretz. So we kind of focus a little bit more on Korach. There's a connection, obviously. Obviously, Shelach ends with Tzitzis, and we go right into Korach. One of the arguments Medrash says that Korach had doesn't stand Tzitzis. He's trying to, poke holes in the teaching, poke holes in the Torah. You need tzitzis, tchelas. What if the whole thing is blue? You still need tzitzis. And Moshe's like, yeah, it needs tzitzis. And if a house full of svarim, it needs mezuzah, you have a house of svarim. Moshe says, of course, it needs mezuzah. And this and trying to show us the inconsistencies. Was he like an Asav trying to just make himself look good? He's just trying to show fights. So what's Korach? And Mepharshim really go bananas over what's his argument. Is it like the 250 people on Ben Peles, Ruvain, Dasan Viram? What's this whole what's Mahas going on? And the bigger question is Korach, who's carrying the Aron, who's a cousin, very close with Moshe Rabbeinu, from Kahas, the same family. He's the one to lead this rebellion against Moshe and Aaron. He's the one to go against Hashem. I mean, the Levim didn't work in the Mitzrayim. The Levim weren't going to work. Korach was one of the wealthiest people. He had what what argument could he ever have? It's one thing you have a horrible life, you complain. I get that. You're not well mentally. You're not firing all cylinders. I get that. What what's happened with Korach, this great man who helped carry out the Mi Kamocha Ba'Hashem, Mi Kamocha, and to fight against the people that did the Egel, people carrying the Aron, the great Korach. How is this possible? So this week there was no Morinayim, so we kind of went to Kliyakar, old stomping grounds. And one of the ideas Kliyakar says when Moshe says Boker v'Yoda as Hashem, the morning you're going to know. The idea is Moshe saying to Korach, let's you are missing a really big point. You're contradicting yourself. Look at the day, look at the morning, look at night. Every day, every morning, it's the same thing. For 2,000 years, there's morning, there's night, there's morning, there's night. Boker v'Yoda, that's known to you. If that's so simple to you that there's a Seder in the world, but you don't believe that God could choose me and Aaron, if you believe God put day and night, you believe that there's Seder in the world, so then you don't believe this, you don't understand what you're saying. Kleoker says that Korach was not believing the separation of power. Moshe and Aaron, you know what? Everyone's holy. Everyone could do what they want. Everyone could bring Katoras. Everyone could bring the Karbanos. And Moshe says, you don't understand something, Korach. There's boundaries. There's boundaries in the world. That's part of being a Jewish person, is to know that there's boundaries in the world. We could do this. We can't do this. Why can't I do this? Why could he do this? Why can't I? Why is he a Kohen? Why could he do Berkos Kohanim? Why can Levi do this? Why Bachar gets this? Well, you may not understand it, but if you don't believe it, you got a big problem. You can't believe God halfway. I think smacks a little bit of what the Ramban and Bo says. Hashem put up, Hashem does miracles in Mitzrayim. That's proof that Hashem started the world. You can't believe that Hashem, could stop Teva but didn't start Teva. If you believe in Mitzrayim and all these mocks Mitzrayim, then you have to believe that Hashem created the world, because this is the same thing. The one who could stop nature started nature. Again, I think the same argument the Kliyakar is saying is that you have to believe until you believe this, and which is why there's such a dangerous precedent. He has to go. Korach has to go. And Rabbi Yehuda brings in his Be'er Parsha is that we don't have this idea any other sinner. Okay, you don't want to be near a killer. I get that, for safety reasons, or someone who steals, or a child molester. I get that. But he badlu mitoch ha'eda. Separate yourself. What? You don't see that by the Makoshes Eitzim, Makalel. You don't see this by other sinners. Separate yourself. And I think the idea that Rabbi Biederman brings is that someone who believes in fighting and to let it linger, that guy, don't go near him. He is dangerous. He's just a guy, I believe him. No, standing near a guy whose only purpose is to start fights, get people to start fights, getting 250 people riled up that they literally kill themselves. They literally are to the point where, you know what, we're going to bring Kataris. Moshe and Aaron are like, well, it's not going to go well for you. If you're not the one, you'll be dead. Like now they're going to you dead. No, Korach convinces them to go against Moshe, to bring Kataris, and we know what happens to those people. That guy's dangerous. Someone who is going to rile you up, someone's going to argue and keep these things going. These are dangerous people. This past week, we had a little argument in one of our WhatsApp groups, and someone didn't like someone posted something, and I took down a reply to a post. Well, why'd you do this for? I'm like, let's not fight this week. Like, you know what? Let's talk about this. Let's let a week go by. I'm not going to start this in the week of Korach. This is a bad week to linger fights. A bad week for it. And the person said, "What about Pinchas?" I'm like, "Oh, no. I'm missing the point. It's not a good time ever to have a fight and have it linger and people posting back and forth, back and forth. It's just not the way to do this. You want to privately approach the person. You should have said this. You should say this. Maybe that's a better forum. But to have one side say this, another post, and now the whole reason of the chat goes away because now there's fights and machlokas. That's letting a fight linger, and that's dangerous. Don't be next to that guy. Now, there's another idea that I kind of hit me yesterday is that the stuff of Korach goes away. The stuff of Korach is swallowed up. His stuff, him, his family, and Kolahem, everything of Korach gone in the ground. And the Medrash brings down that Korach was an especially wealthy person. Someone just sent me something from Hidabrut, whether he made special bricks in Mitzrayim and he's charged money for it. I got to finish that piece. Either way, the Gemara says Haman had wealth, Alexander had wealth, and Korach, the three people who were the wealthiest people. Korach is one of them. And think about it, nothing goes away. Hashem opens up the ground, whether Korach goes in there or he's burned, the people, all the stuff done. You get 300 mules that carry the keys to these treasure chests. A crazy amount, whether it's exaggeration or literal, just wealth gone. And you think about it, oh my gosh, what a waste. You could have supported all these Levium, all the Kola people for generations. Let the Kohanim take it. When they beat up Midian, they take the stuff, and Elazar gets some of it. The people get it. They win a war. They have stuff. Why destroy it? They keep the captives. Why do that? Here, Korach is gone. This stuff is gone. What's the purpose of this? So I was thinking that it's dangerous to be next to a person's stuff. If a person got things through bad ways, he stole, he lied, he cheated, whatever it is, his stuff, there's something inherently wrong with his stuff, whether there's something unholy in the gold or unholy in the chair or his fancy car, or it's just a remembrance. Oh my gosh, we're, big sign on the yeshiva. This money came from Korach. You know what? Maybe it wasn't so bad. Look, the yeshiva took the money. Maybe it's not so bad what Korach did. Maybe we should also try to be rich. Maybe we should try to go against Moshe. Maybe that's the way to do this. And the answer is no. This is inherently wrong. And perhaps this is, it's striking to me, and other people also. In the news, unfortunately, we see Jews there. They're in trouble. They're in the newspaper. And then there's an article in Holtzville or something that there's a Daf Yomi there. So many Jews that are like in prison. Wow, learning Daf Yomi. I'm like, that's terrible. Because if you're a tzaddik, if you're a real tzaddik, meaning you believe God created the world, God controls your money, God controls your health, and everything going with you, how are you stealing? How are you doing that? It shows that you really not a tzaddik. Yes, you have a long beard, and you have a daf yomi, and you have payas, and you got a white shirt, and you have a black hat. But if you believe but don't believe in that, you're just not a tzaddik. That's dangerous. I think that's dangerous. Mori Naim, even though he doesn't speak on this parsha, that's why we went to Kliyakar, but there's a story Rabbi brings down in his parsha that Mori Naim, when he was young, he was brought up by his uncle, and all the other children got bread and butter. And Mori Naim, Nachum, I guess called Menachem, I guess, he just got bread, dry bread. And one day the uncle was out in the yard, and the young boy Menachem took his bread, and he saw the barrel with the butter, and he opened up the lid, pulled his bread, put the bread in there. I noticed it was cement. It was cement. It wasn't butter. And he remarked to himself, not only did I not get bread and butter, but I didn't get bread because the bread is ruined. And that's, I think, the point of what we're trying to say to Korach. You spent all your time to try to accumulate, but going against Moshe and now trying to circumvent what God wanted for me and what I'm supposed to get, nothing. My kids don't make it. Grandkids don't make it. My stuff doesn't make it. That's how dangerous it is for someone to be next to someone who is cheating, who doesn't believe that Hashem really controls everything. And this is kind of the idea that not just Korach is destroyed, he's gone, but his stuff is gone. Couldn't go to someone, it couldn't just go to yeshiva, it couldn't go to poor people, it had to be gone. And this idea that I can circumvent halacha, yeah, yeah, Hashem wants me to have this, but I can get more. I'm going to circumvent this. I can be greater, going against people. I could start a fight, l'shem shemayim. I can start a fight and cause people to hate each other. I can get money even though it's not the proper thing. Those things are dangerous. And with that, Shabbat Shalom.